Hi guys, thank you so much for joining me here today on this video. My name is Angela and thank you for coming and spending a little time out with me today. So guys, in this video we're going to talk menopause. So just to give you a bit of backstory, menopause is having its moment right now in the Western culture. Everybody is talking about it, and it's a really good thing because for so many years nobody was talking about it. It was swept under the carpet. It was something that was seen as part of life. They called it the change. It happened to people's bodies and we just got on with it. But now we're talking about menopause, which has to be a good thing. So I thought I would take the opportunity to share with you my menopause story. So guys, if this is your first time here at my channel, then a huge warm welcome to you. Thank you so much for clicking on this video and joining me today. And if you've been here before, then it's great to have you back. On this channel we do all sorts of things, guys. It's a lifestyle channel. And I'm on a journey to get my life back, to improve my health, focusing on my wellness, and also as a result of that lose weight. And I have lost 100 pounds to date, and so far all of that 100 pounds has happened during menopause, peri and postmenopause. And it's something that I really want to sort of share with you how I've done that, and I'll come to that in a moment. And other things we do on this channel, we do shopping hauls, we do clothing hauls, we do a little bit of gardening, and cooking as well, healthy cooking, which again is so important when it comes to food for menopause. And we do yeah, a variety of things. So if that's the sort of thing you're interested in, guys, please click that subscribe button and the notification bell, and yeah, become part of our wellness family, part of the Time Out with Angela family. I also have a Facebook group called Time Out with Angela group that you're welcome to join, and I also have a Instagram page, so feel free to get over there and check them out. So guys, I just want to go share with you my menopause story, and then hopefully there'll be something there that that you can resonate with, that you can identify with. So I entered, well, to be honest, I don't really know when I entered menopause, and that's the truth. Because for many years I've suffered with ill health. I have some serious health conditions that affect my heart, my lungs and my joints, and yeah, and for many years that was my focus, is just getting my health back on track. I was going to say sorted, well, the doctors were getting me sorted, but I just wanted to get my health back on track. So living with ill health for many years, I didn't even notice, didn't even recognise a lot of those symptoms that I was experiencing as menopausal. When I was 48, I was referred to my gynae by my main specialist. So I suffer with a condition called lupus, SLE. And I do have other conditions around that. So I'm a type 2 diabetic, I suffer from fibromyalgia, osteoarthritis, other conditions. I don't want to start reeling off the list of things, but I have a number of health conditions that have plagued me for many years. So I'd gone to see my lupus consultant and explained to them that I was always just constantly tired, and tiredness has been a feature of my entire life, from childhood through to adulthood. So they did some blood tests, and my tests came back as being my iron was really low. And in exploring why this was, explaining that I have really, really heavy periods, and that would just literally wipe me out. So my lupus consultant referred me to the gynae specialist with the view of looking to be considered to have a hysterectomy. I'd finished my childbearing years, so having a hysterectomy seemed the next likely step. So at the age of 48, went along to see my gynae, and he took my history and agreed that, you know, having a hysterectomy would benefit me in terms of managing my overall health, reducing the tiredness, and of course the excessive bleeding. However, when he looked at my age, I was 48, he said, well, you're going to be entering menopause soon, and on that basis, he said he didn't see any benefit in having the hysterectomy, because when I enter menopause, all of the menstrual cycle and all the heavy bleeding every month was going to come to an end anyway. And for the time that it was going to take me to sit on the waiting list for this operation, he said he didn't think it was of value. So me being none the wiser, said, okay, I'll go with that. Not really even thinking through menopause, because like so many people, menopause was just not something that was talked about in my household. I had heard of menopause, but didn't know what it was really about. My mother had had a hysterectomy after she had me. So it just wasn't talked about. And I had sisters, and nobody, sister-in-laws, nobody ever talked about it. And, you know, interestingly, in my day-to-day job, I work with lots of women who are experiencing menopause. And it's interesting because some of the people I work with say that they talk about it, it's more spoken about now, and for others it's still very much under the covers. And I do think that there is definitely some cultural some cultural barriers to talking about menopause, because in my community, in the black community, none of my friends, family, nobody ever spoke about menopause. So I just found that really, really interesting. So when my doctor had mentioned that to me, I was entering menopause, I was like, okay, another stage of my life, didn't really know much about it. So up until then, the heavy bleeding and the pain that came with that every month continued, and it seemed to get worse as I was ending that whole cycle and entering menopause. Only I didn't know that I was entering menopause. So at this point, carried on as the doctor had suggested, and my focus after that consultation and up until and after that consultation was purely about managing my health. As I said, I have serious health conditions that affect my heart, my lungs, my joints, and so many different things, and my focus was purely on managing those health conditions. And the first that I ever really clicked that I was experiencing menopause or going through menopause was about 2.5, 3 years ago. It was just as we were coming out of lockdown, and I can still remember those days really well. It was absolutely freezing. We were in the deepest, darkest depth of winter, and I remember it being like -3 outside, and waking up and feeling like I was in the middle of a furnace. It felt like there was a raging fire in my bed. And I remember getting up and opening the window, absolutely pouring with sweat and really hot internally. And I'd got back into bed and I'd settled down, and then next thing I knew, I was boiling again. I'm throwing off the sheets and absolutely roasting, and then I would cool down and then it would start again. And this was my pattern, and I can always remember ringing and talking to my daughter-in-law and saying, I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm waking up in the middle of the night, absolutely burning. It is so hot. It's -3, -4 outside. I've got the window open, the curtains open, I've got the sheets off, and I'm absolutely burning up. I still remember those days really vividly, really clearly, and it still didn't click that that was a menopause symptom, as I said, because I was still focused on managing all my other health conditions and just keeping my head above water with my health. And it was only sometime after that, I can't pinpoint exactly when, but at some point after that, I remember hearing or reading about sweating at night. The hot, it wasn't even a hot flush, it was like the night sweats being linked to menopause. And at that point I thought, oh my goodness, I wonder if I'm in menopause. And then thinking about what the consultant had told me a couple of years earlier, that I would be entering menopause soon. And by this time it was probably about 3-4 years down the line. So at that point I kind of thought, actually maybe this is menopause, and started looking into it and realised that there were so many symptoms related to menopause. But for me, because of my health condition, those menopausal symptoms were all part and parcel of that. There wasn't one thing that I could pinpoint and say, this is a menopause symptom. Because I suffer with dry eyes, really serious dry eyes. I'm on medicated eye drops, and I take these drops about 4, 5, even 6 times a day. I have really dry eyes because of my health condition, but yet that is also a symptom of menopause. So I couldn't pinpoint and say, yes, my dry eyes is because of menopause. I also suffered with tiredness, and yes, tiredness and fatigue is also a symptom of menopause, but I've been suffering with tiredness for as long back as I can remember, being a child, because I'm anemic. I suffer with anemia, and even right now I'm on a course of iron tablets, because that is just the way my body works because of my health condition. So I've always been anemic as long as I can remember, but yeah, anemia and tiredness is a symptom of menopause, and with anemia it brings on tiredness and fatigue. I also have a health condition which is chronic fatigue as well, related to my lupus. So again, I couldn't specifically pinpoint that and say it's because of the menopause. The sweats, maybe just the sweats and the hot flushes I could possibly put down to menopause, and I'm quite sure, actually thinking about it, yeah, I would probably say the night sweat and the hot flushes are probably the most common and most prominent menopause symptom for me, because thinning hair is also another menopause symptom, but again, because of my health condition and also the medication that I was on to stable my heart and my lungs, that also caused thinning, very dry, brittle and thinning hair. The same with my nails. I've always, because of my anemia, I've always had very thin and brittle nails, and these are acrylics, but I've always had very thin and brittle nails my entire life. And that's just who I am, but also due to my health condition and my anemia, but it's also a menopausal symptom. So I couldn't pinpoint it and say it's definitely because of menopause. Muscle tension and pain in muscles, again, another symptom of menopause. But again, because of my health condition, I do suffer with a condition called fibromyalgia, which is a lot of pain that runs through my muscles. So can't put that down solely to menopause. Brain fog is another classic menopause symptom, but again, because of my health condition, I've been diagnosed with lupus for about 25, 27 years, and brain fog has always been a symptom that has plagued me. So again, I can't just put that down to menopause. My joint pains because of my arthritis, yeah, plagues me. I again can't put that just down to menopause. So yeah, lots of conditions that I suffer with generally as part of my health condition are also menopausal symptoms. So I can't say that the symptoms that I experienced during menopause are just down to it. And thinking about it, we are one body, and you know, menopause symptoms and health conditions are like that. They're interlinked. So you know, I'm not two separate persons. I'm not, you know, Angela with a medical condition and Angela with menopause symptoms. No, you know, I'm one. So they are absolutely interlinked. So I suffer with a lot of conditions, and a lot of them cross over into menopausal symptoms, but I can't say that they are just menopausal. The only thing that I could probably pinpoint and say it is purely down to menopause is those night sweats and also hot flushes. So those are the two that I could probably just say is down to menopause. So that is, you know, where I was. I'd gone to see the doctor. He didn't want to do the hysterectomy because I was going to enter menopause soon. I entered menopause, didn't even realise I was entering menopause. It was only having the window open in the dead of the winter and -3 when I'm absolutely burned up that it clicked, penny clicked that I was in menopause. And even that term perimenopause was something I never ever heard until recently. It was just you're going through menopause or you're going through the change. There wasn't this category of perimenopause or postmenopause. It was just menopause and menopausal. So that was quite new to me. So when those hot flushes and the night sweats settled, because they didn't last forever, they lasted maybe a fortnight, and then it settled down, and then every now and again it would raise its head and then settle down. So it wasn't something that was constant. And because when I realised that I was in menopause, the thought of even going to the doctor and talking to the doctor about these symptoms didn't even enter my head. And that's the honest truth. Didn't even enter my head. And now working with people who are experiencing those symptoms, I hear that they go to the GP and they seek the help and support that they need, which I think is wonderful. But it didn't even cross my mind. Didn't even cross my mind because, and I think this is for a couple of reasons. One, because I was constantly in the doctors. If I wasn't at my GP, I was speaking to my nurse, or I was in seeing my consultant, or speaking to the specialist nurse at the hospital. So my life was just constantly in the doctor's surgery, seeing and talking to an array of doctors and medical specialists. So the thought of speaking to a medical doctor about the hot flushes and the night sweats didn't even cross my mind. And then when I realised that all the other symptoms, you know, the thinning hair, the muscle tensions, the joint pains, could be part of the menopause symptoms, again, it didn't cross my mind to talk to them about it, because I was already under the doctor and the specialist for my health condition, of which those things were a symptom. So the concept of getting treatment for menopause or going on HRT didn't even cross my mind. And I look back and that makes me sad, because I think I could have got some support and some help, particularly for those night sweats and the hot flushes. I could have got some support for that. But everything else was already being taken care of. But yeah, I could have gone and got some help for that, because not getting the quality sleep that I needed, because I was being kept up with the night sweats, did then have a huge impact on me, because the next day I was tired, very tired, couldn't function properly because I hadn't had the sleep. It impacted what I was eating. I didn't have the energy to stand and cook, didn't have the energy to go and shop, didn't have the energy for any of that. So it had a huge impact on me. And yeah, all the time it was menopause and I didn't even realise it. So guys, I'm going to share with you now what happened in those 3 years, or after those 3 years, when I hit age 51. But before we do that, it's snack of the day. So guys, for my snack today, I have this, and this is a Ryvita. It's a Ryvita, but it's the fruit and nut one, so it's a great alternative to a biscuit. And I know it's not very pretty, but I've got some peanut butter on the top, so I've got two. And I like these because it gives me that sweetness without the sugar, being diabetic. It's got the seeds and the fruit and the nuts in, which is really, really good for balancing hormones. And the peanut butter, again, good source of fibre, great for balancing out those hormones. And my drink, I've got a herbal tea, I've got green tea and mint, and it smells so lovely. So that's my snack of the day, guys. So guys, when I was 51, I was the heaviest I had ever been in my entire life. I was so heavy, I was so ill, and I was so unhappy. I couldn't move without a huge amount of pain. I didn't really go out anywhere. I didn't have the confidence to put on clothes. I didn't have clothes that fitted me anymore. And to go out and buy clothes in the shops, I was not happy buying size 26s. I was just so miserable and so unhappy. And I just felt awful. Everything hurt all the time. So at Christmas 2018, I literally couldn't get out of my sofa after the excesses of Christmas. My son literally had to haul me out of the sofa. And at that moment, I decided I'm going to change my life. Not just my weight, but I'm going to change my entire life. So I decided to go to Weight Watchers because I'd used Weight Watchers and Slimming World, I'd done calorie counting, I'd done Cambridge Diet, I'd done so many different things in the past, but I knew Weight Watchers worked for me. So I decided to rejoin Weight Watchers in January 2019 after Christmas, when the world and the Weight Watchers studios opened up. So guys, at age 51, I decided to rejoin Weight Watchers, and I decided it was going to be the final time I was going to do that. So I did, and over time started to lose weight nice and steadily. Never really saw much of a difference in terms of my menopause symptoms, only because, as I said earlier, all my symptoms were masked by my health condition, and I wasn't really that aware of the menopause. I was just more focused on my health condition. So the symptoms were there, interlinked with who I am, my health and menopause. So I was losing nice and steadily, and then I came to a point where my weight stopped. I stopped losing, and this was in the second, this was at the end, towards the end of the first lockdown. At the start of the first lockdown, I was losing really well, doing really well, really happy with my progress, steady, nice and steady, but seeing results. And then towards the end of the first lockdown, things just went belly up. And I wasn't losing, but on reflection, and I have to be honest, I wasn't losing because I really wasn't following the Weight Watchers plan. The honeymoon period had worn off. The gloss and the gold had worn off, and I wasn't following it as closely as I thought as I should, but still expected big results. So what I decided to do to really get going again on my weight loss journey and to keep it exciting, and knowing that I was now in menopause, was to learn about nutrition, because I'd come across some articles and some podcasts, and I came across these in the first lockdown, and you know, we all had time on our hands then, and I've always been interested in food and nutrition, and I started to explore some podcasts and some programs on Netflix about food and what goes into our food, and I was horrified, to say the least. I was horrified. So that took me on a course and on a path where I started learning about food, and knowing that I was wanting to lose weight, knew that there were some foods that were going to support weight loss and others that weren't. And whilst I absolutely love the Weight Watchers plan, because it's because of that plan and all the support I get that I have lost 100 pounds, and 100 pounds so far during menopause. But for me, whilst Weight Watchers say you can eat anything, nothing is off the table, in one aspect it's good because it gives us choice, but on another level I just think there's too much choice and there's not enough guidance around nutrition. And what I realised was I could eat my daily points and my weekly points on food that wasn't going to support me, my body, and my weight loss journey and my menopause journey. And that's what I did. I got to a point where I was using all my points, sticking to my points. I got weight loss, but then the weight loss stopped. One, because I wasn't sticking to the points, but secondly, I wasn't nourishing my body with good quality nutritious food. So I was on this course of learning, on this path of learning about foods and food to support weight loss. And then in August 2022, I had an epiphany, and I realised that if I was going to lose weight and to keep it off, and I was going to lose weight during menopause, I needed to, one, understand what foods is going to support me to do that, become aware of it, eat it, but also to avoid the foods that was not going to support weight loss and my hormones. And despite Weight Watchers saying you can eat whatever you want and still lose weight, and I understand they do that for a reason, because they don't want to be prescriptive. So I totally get that. And talking about menopause and hot flushes, I'm having one right now, guys. I've just got to put the fan on, guys. So please excuse that background noise, but oh, it is a bit warm. Yeah, it is warm. It's a beautiful hot sunny day. The sun's gone down, it is warm, but also I'm in the kitchen, which is warm, and also having a hot flush at the same time. So please excuse the sound of the fan. So yeah, I realised that if I wanted to lose weight, I couldn't just eat anything. It would work, but there'd come a point where I wouldn't be supporting my body. So I went on this journey of understanding about the foods that support weight loss, and also learning about the foods that support hormonal change and bring about hormonal balance. And in that, I also learned about the foods that didn't support hormonal change, such as ultra processed food. So essentially any food that has been highly processed, ultra processed, in a packet with lots and lots of ingredients with names you can't even pronounce, those are ultra processed foods. So I also learned that things like caffeine, and caffeine can be found in tea, in coffee, and in fizzy drinks as well, and those energy boosting drinks don't necessarily support hormonal change as well. And also things like red meat, eating lots of red meat isn't very good for the body, isn't good for my body, and doesn't always support hormonal change. And things like dairy and things like that, it's getting that balance, isn't it? It's getting that balance. So I still have red meat, I still have a little bit of dairy, occasionally I might have some processed foods and some caffeine, but I don't have them in the quantities that I used to have them. Definitely not, but every now and again I still enjoy those. So I started to learn about foods that don't support weight loss, or sorry, don't support hormonal change and hormonal balance, and then went on to learn about foods that absolutely do support hormonal change, and it's really important to eat during menopause. And I say this with a disclaimer, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a dietitian. This is what I've discovered works for me based on research out there, so I do encourage you to explore that. Do your own research, and also talk to your medical practitioners as well for that support. So I realised that foods such as avocados, with all those healthy fats, are good for supporting hormonal change and hormonal balance. Things like kale and cruciferous vegetables, kale, broccoli, cauliflower, leafy greens, all of those really good source of nutrients and minerals that support the body going through hormonal change. Then there's things like green tea, which I'm drinking here, is very good, as the research out there indicates. But also things like eggs can be really helpful in bringing about and supporting that hormonal change. Things like nuts and seeds, so pumpkin seeds, pine kernels, all of those seeds, and also seeds such as pumpkin seeds are really, really good and support the body. And things like nuts such as your walnuts, almond nuts. I was listening to a podcast the other day about almond nuts with the brown husk on, really, really good for the body. All of these nuts are very good, but not like your dry roasted peanuts. Them perhaps not so much, but you know, those raw nuts, almonds, pecans, Brazil nuts, cashew nuts, pistachio, all of those raw nuts are good to support the body. And then you have things like your sprouts, like Brussels sprouts, cabbage, kale, all those leafy greens and spinach are very good as well, because they're all the nutrients and minerals they contain. And also dark chocolate, a little bit of dark chocolate is good as opposed to the milk chocolate. So I started to learn that all of those food groups are very good for helping to bring about balance, and also they're great foods for weight loss, minus the dark chocolate. Many of those foods, if not all of them, is on the the Weight Watchers Zero food list, and we're encouraged to eat those groups of food, which is fantastic. The only thing for me is, again, that nutritional support is lacking at WW, because whilst all those foods are on the zero list, you wouldn't know that they're great for balancing hormones, especially during menopause, because, you know, that information isn't there. And I'd love WW to provide more support around nutrition and the foods that we eat and the foods on those zero list, and how they support the body. So I started Weight Watchers on my journey at the age of 51. I'm now 56, and when I started I was the heaviest I'd ever experienced. I really was, yeah, I was just, yeah, I was seriously ill and seriously obese. So when I started, like in this past year, started to learn about those foods, I started to incorporate those into my journey, and now they are a habit, and I eat those foods regularly. And in this past year, whilst on that brink of perimenopause and menopause, I am postmenopausal now, and even though I am postmenopausal, I still suffer with those hot flushes, as you saw earlier, and very occasionally I have night sweats. So it doesn't, for me, it hasn't just stopped when I got into postmenopause. But what I had to learn was I had to manage my expectations. I had to manage my expectations around weight loss, because there is so much information out there all saying that weight loss in menopause is difficult, near on impossible. Well, maybe I booked the trend, maybe I'm unusual, but I have lost 100 pounds in peri and postmenopause. 100 pounds. So definitely not impossible, or not for everybody. But what I did have to do was manage my expectations, and I knew that my hormones would be a major factor in my weight loss and wellness journey. So what I had to do was learn about those foods that support hormonal change that I've just mentioned, and I had to start incorporating as many of them into my meals as possible, my meals and my snacks. I just had to get them in large quantities because I wanted those symptoms to reduce. And whilst I still suffer with those symptoms, the dry eyes, the fibromyalgia, the achy joints, the tender muscles, you know, the sweat and all of that, I realised that it's not just because of menopause, it's also because of my health condition, but because I'm eating those foods to support that hormonal change, but also those foods are generally good for the body anyway. It's been making a huge difference, and it's also made a difference to my weight loss, hence why I've lost so much weight this past year. So guys, what I'd say is menopause is a difficult time, and it's a difficult time for lots of people, and that's never should ever be underestimated. And weight loss can be tough, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible. And I know several people, not just myself, who have had a very successful weight loss journey during menopause. And I think for me, the key that I've taken away from my menopausal weight loss journey is, one, to be patient with myself. My body is going through change, and I can't rush that. I'm not in control of my hormones and what it's going to do. So I have to be patient, I have to be kind to myself. I've also had to learn to manage my expectations and realise that, you know, when I was in my 20s and my 30s, you know, I could only have to say the word weight loss and the weight would fall off. But as I've gotten older, as my body has changed, it's harder. Because, one, lifestyle, but also because of those hormones doing their thing in the body. So I've had to be sensible and really manage my expectations. And, you know, when I look at my weight loss journey and I looked at my average, I've averaged about 21 pounds a year, a stone and a half a year, which works out at less than £half a pound a week. And there were times that I didn't lose anything for months, absolutely nothing at all. But the average is £half a pound a week. So guys, I'd say that if you're seeing any kind of weight loss during menopause, that is definitely a plus. Take it, take it. And yes, we always want more, but we're not in control of that. Our bodies are, our hormones are. But the only thing we can do, which I learned I had to do, was feed my body the foods that are going to support hormonal changes and bring about hormonal balance, such as the things I mentioned, those cruciferous vegetables, the dark leaf greens, the nuts, the eggs, things like that, and avoid as much as possible that ultra processed foods, the caffeine, the red meat and the dairy. Just really limit them. And when I started to do that, guys, I noticed so many different things. So my skin is glowing. I get loads and loads and loads of compliments about my skin, how well my skin is for my age, which is really nice. I sleep well. Generally I sleep well. And I've done a couple of things. I worked on my sleep routine. So I have a routine, which means that my room is always nice and clean, it's always aired, it smells good, it's got flowers, and it's just really nice. It's a nice environment for me to go into and to rest and to sleep. And that my bedroom, I only sleep in there. I do have a TV, but that needs to come out. But I only ever sleep in my bedroom, and obviously get dressed and undressed. But I don't watch TV in there, and I certainly don't do any work in there. So that's become a place where my brain associates with rest. And as soon as I go to bed, my head's hit the pillow, I'm out like a light. I also have part of that routine. I have a warm bath each night. Get some fresh, clean pyjamas in, get into a nice, clean, comfy bed. Window is always open. I can't sleep unless that air is coming through. And also, a key, really big thing for me is I don't eat late. So this past year I've been practicing intermittent fasting, and I have been listening and applying some of the principles from Dr. Jason Fung, who is a world specialist around intermittent fasting. And there is so much myths and all sorts being said around intermittent fasting. And I'm going to do a video on intermittent fasting, guys, if that's something you're interested in. And I will share how intermittent fasting works for me, how it fits into my Weight Watchers journey, and how it's been critical to me losing 100 pounds, and the bulk of that in this past year. So I don't eat after usually 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at a push. Don't eat. I will drink water, but I don't eat. And what I realised and what I discovered was that when I do that, I sleep so well. I sleep really well. And the other thing I do is I've reduced the amount of alcohol I drink. I was renowned for a rum and coke or gin and lemonade. It's very occasional now that I will have a drink, an alcoholic drink, because I've also discovered when I have an alcoholic drink, especially in the evening, that I will have night sweats. I'll wake up, I'll toss and I'll turn, I don't sleep well, and I'll often have night sweat. And the other thing is spicy food, and I'm Caribbean, I love my spicy food. But if I'm going to have it, I'm going to have it at lunch. I will not have it in the evening, because again, it affects my hormone, it affects my gut balance, and I get those night sweats. And thinking back to the time where, you know, I mentioned that I was up at, you know, middle of the night, -3, thinking back, I was drinking. I was having a drink, you know, at evenings and in the weekends, and having that spicy food. But now that I've reduced all of that and having that diet, and I say diet loosely, eating those foods to support my hormones. Now, you know, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a nutritionist or a dietitian. I can't say whether eating those foods has made that difference for me. All I know is since I've reduced the amount of processed foods that I have, I've reduced the amount of spicy food, and certainly reduced the amount of alcohol I have, I don't tend to have disturbed sleep. I sleep so much better, and I have certainly don't have those night sweats anymore. I still have hot flushes in the day, still have those, but they're nowhere near as much as I used to have them. I also drink lots of water. I aim for at least 2 to 3 litres of water per day, and that has helped my body. I'm not even sure how it's helping my body, but all I know is that I've got, you know, this clear skin for my age. And the other thing that has really helped me is having that positive mindset, and really thinking positive, managing my expectation, and knowing that if I do have a day where, you know, like today, having that hot flush, I know I'm going to get over it, I know I'm going to get through it, and everything's going to be okay. And the other thing that has really helped me is learning about menopause and learning about people's experiences from different people, from different backgrounds and social and economic backgrounds, different cultures. Just learning about different people's experiences of menopause has been really, really valuable. And yeah, that's really helped me to think broader about menopause and to also appreciate what other people are going through and how it's affecting them. Because on the whole, my menopause journey is nowhere near as challenging as other people experience it. And I've heard, you know, lots and lots of people talk about their symptoms, and it's heartbreaking. It really, really is heartbreaking. So yeah, you know, intermittent fasting definitely works for me in terms of my weight loss journey alongside Weight Watchers. It's also, I believe, had a major impact on my menopause symptoms, i.e. those night sweats and hot flushes, but also reducing the ultra processed foods as well. And I do have some, but nowhere near as much. Having that positive mindset and being active as well, moving. And we know that you know, there's lots written on the internet to say that when you're moving more and you're building that strength, it can support you through menopause. And that is something that I've done, and yeah, I think it has had lots of positive impact on me. So yeah, you know, I'm not on HRT. I don't take any supplements for menopause. There's lots of supplements, lots of teas and drinks and, you know, supplements and shampoos and creams. There's lots and lots and lots of things out there. So if that's what you need, go and give it a try. And I hope it helps. You know, it is really finding things that help you. But yeah, touch wood, I have been very blessed on my menopause journey. One, because I didn't even realise I was going into menopause, didn't even realise when I was in menopause it was only those hot flushes, because all my other symptoms were part and parcel of who I am, and it was masked by other symptoms. But I've come through it the other end. I'm now 56, I'm 57 in a few months' time, and can say pretty much that my menopause journey has been plain sailing for, yeah, I'd say at least 97% of the time. But at the same time, I don't ever underestimate what people, lots of people go through, because for lots of people it's life-changing. It's life-changing. So yeah, guys, you know, that is my menopause story, and I hope that you find it of some value. You may not. And the last thing I just want to share is that, you know, we often talk about menopause affecting women, and it's just, you know, and sometimes I do get really frustrated with that, because menopause affects everybody, absolutely everybody, not just women. If a woman has a partner, male or female or non-binary, or identifies in another way, they may well be affected. Children in a household where there is somebody experiencing menopause can also be affected. And what we do know is that there are sectors of the community that identify as transgendered, non-binary, intersex variation, and also variation of sex characteristics. And there are people within these sectors of community, of society, that may be affected by menopause, and it's really important to be inclusive and include everyone, and not just talk about menopause affecting women. So guys, yeah, that is my story. I hope that is of value to you. Do let me know, is there something that you identify with? Are you experiencing menopause? Are you going through menopause, or are you postmenopausal? And if so, how has those menopausal symptoms impacted you and your loved ones? I'd love to know. Guys, if you found this video of value, please feel free to hit that subscribe button and click that notification bell, and that way you will be notified as soon as I upload another video. And I've got lots more videos to come around my health and wellness journey, my weight loss journey. I've got shopping hauls, and I've got a very exciting shopping haul that I'm going to video tomorrow. It's just arrived today. It came online, so I'm really excited to film that and to share that with you. But yeah, lots and lots of things happening on this channel. So, you know, I would love for you to be part of my Time Out with Angela community. So feel free to hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell. Also feel free to leave a comment below, but also give this video a thumbs up, because if that you do, guys, I would so appreciate that, because it just helps the algorithm put it out to more people, so more people can find my channel, find this video and listen to it and watch it. And you never know, you never know who you may be helping when you give this video a like. Okay guys, also leave a comment as well if you so wish. And that is it from me. Hot flush has subsided, I'm pleased to say. And I'm off now. I will see you very soon. And just remember, you are amazing. So go and do something today that your future self will thank you for. Take care, guys. Bye.